YouTube fam friends, strangers, it is Kat here, and this is a Cafe Clutch. It is bright out, and so it's better for me to have my glasses on right now. Anyways, I wanted to give a Cafe Clutch, get something off my chest about something that happened yesterday, and hopefully it helps people out there and puts things into a better perspective, and maybe even people can throw and toss ideas in the comment section if they want of what they would have done. I was at Costco with my dad, helping him shop, and I turn a corner and there is another person. It's two people, a man and a woman, and a kid. And the kid is approximately, I'd say, 4 to 6 years old. And I don't know if it was his dad or an uncle or a friend. I don't know who this man was with this lady. I don't know if she was a mom or if they were taking care of him or an aunt. But what happened is they didn't expect me to turn the corner, and he was bent over and he was in this little boy's face saying something. Then he said, "I'm going to scream at you." And so, it really left an imprint on me. To tell a child you're going to scream at them, I'm assuming that when I turned the corner, whatever the child was doing, this man was trying to have him stop. And I don't care if a kid's throwing a tantrum, if a kid is the one yelling and screaming. But for a grown man to tell a young kid, I think it was like, if you don't stop. Anyways, but he's like, "I'm going to scream at you." And I was like, wow, like to intentfully and purposefully inflict terror on a child. People, how do I want to say it? Adults can at times lose their own cool, and we're supposed to be teaching children how to be respectful, but also the love we give and pour into a kid this is an example of how others should treat you. So when I raised my sons, I'm not a yeller, and I raised them in such a way where I hope, and I believe they have become young grown men. So when they are in relationships, in the relationships they've been in with women over the course of their life so far, they don't yell at ladies. They don't yell at women. And I would never want to hire someone who was a yeller at kids. It's kind of like when a parent doesn't want their child to swear and teaches them, you shouldn't swear if they get in trouble or punished for swearing. But if the parent's swearing around the kid, how hypocritical. And I think we need to set the example raising young little men and young little women of not only what love is, and that they will be safe and they will be loved and they will be protected and they will be nurtured and they will be sheltered, and the parent or whoever a caregiver is of the child. But also, like I was saying, you're setting someone up to expect mistreatment if you yell and flip and go off on your kids. So this little boy has this man as an example who threatened him that he was going to scream. And it's interesting because it wasn't even like raise my voice, yell. And I did grow up in a very, I'll just put quote unquote, loud household. And I have to say, out of all of us, there's 5 of us, myself and 4 siblings. I don't think any one of us turned out to be a yeller. Especially 3 of us 4 of us have kids now, and in our own parenting with our own children, we broke that cycle. So, and yelling and screaming, screaming even takes it to a different level. And what's really a red flag too was This man had obviously bubbling control. I mean, he was tall and he bent over to talk to this boy with the woman there. And it wasn't like, it wasn't like just reactive, because he was able to, in the store, not just go into a screaming frenzy. I thought about saying something to him, but you never know if that kid, when he gets home, if an adult said something, would make it worse. Now, if it was something where I did have an experience years ago in Walgreens where it was just the woman was completely verbally abusing and attacking her kid in the store, and I learned from that, if that ever happens again and I see someone verbally abusing a kid to the extent and the level she did, it wasn't just like putting a kid down. I mean, it was full on verbal abuse. And I learned from that. I would call 911. This was a little different. This was just a threat of screaming, but still it was a threat. And I think, too, we need to show our children, be young children or older children, an example of how to be when you're upset and how to communicate, how to be proactive in the world and not let things take you to a level of mistreating someone. I taught, when I was a teacher, parents alternatives to spanking, alternatives to corporal punishment. And a lot of times it's the parent is the one who's losing control, and the parent is doing it because they're reacting from their own anger. And perfect love has no fear. That's what the Bible says. Perfect love has no fear. And if you are physically, right, you're much bigger than a child, a child's pretty helpless. A young child like that has no recourse to get away. So if you are being threatening and installing fear to get the desired result of behavior, you are also fragmenting what love is. That's not love. And even if a child like that does grow up to be more controlled out of fear of not wanting that person, let's say, to flip out and scream at them, that child is a child growing up on eggshells, and that child is going to have stressors, and emotionally, that child is just buffing, kind of like doing what needs to be done so that that child in that moment in time will feel safe. That child will probably grow up with resentment, not liking you, maybe having some love for you if you're a parent, but is that really what you want for your child? And also just the whole thing of, again, sometimes people, I think, treat strangers better than they do their own family. I mean, isn't that sad? And the ones that you want to protect most. So set the example. Anyway, so that's my cafe clutch. I'm curious what other people would have done if they turned the corner and saw this man, this big tall man, bending down at this kid and saying something, I'm going to start screaming in a threatening tone. I walked away in the same direction I was going, but I just ended up saying prayers in my own head. And I know prayers have power, but I'm curious what other people would have done, because it was so wrong. We're adults. We need to be mature and be an example and not threaten and not react out of our own emotions. And sometimes we're the ones that need the timeout. Treat your children as the precious gift that they are, and treat them with respect. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.